Hey guys, in this video we'll take a quick look at package management. Now I would have mentioned before in the earlier times when we were looking at what comes with the project, but that we get all of these bootstrap files and all of these script files, jQuery and so on. I would have mentioned that they're not necessarily always at the latest versions, right? Because as they build on it, you get version 1.10.1 and then 1.2, etc., 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 right? The easiest way, or the way that you would probably think about it naturally to upgrade these files would be to go out and get the physical files and come back and replace them here in the project. And that would be fine. That would be understandable. But then Visual Studio kind of tries to make it easier for you by giving you what they call NuGet package management. So if you right click your project or you right click references, then you would see that they have this thing called manage NuGet packages. And when you click that, it opens up a nice menu section where it's listing out all of the installed packages, all of the possible updates, and also allowing you to browse. So there are times when what comes out of the box with Visual Studio might not be adequate for what you want to do. And so they have an open source community where they allow people to contribute solutions. And so you can actually browse all of those solutions right here. And you can download NUnit, you can get adapters for MySQL database, and even Bootstrap. Everything that you might need, it's somewhere here. So you can always just search if you know exactly what you want, and you can actually just click it and view more details as to the version, and you can select exactly what version. So it's a very powerful selection and package management tool. I'm going to go over to updates because we can see that we have 34 pending updates. So as at the time of this recording, MVC 5 was kind of being phased out, so it's kind of behind. But a lot of these things out of the box at the time were the latest. No, they're not the latest. So NuGet is allowing me to say, okay, I can update. And let's look at Bootstrap. I warned about updating Bootstrap because if I update Bootstrap right here, I'm moving from version 3.0 to version 4. And there are quite a few changes in the code for Bootstrap between 3 and 4. So a big jump like that would cause me to have to do a lot of regression testing and changes and all over the place, right? So for the purpose of this course, I will not update it to version 4.0. All right. But then as we go along, we see that jQuery, we got it at version 1. It's now at version 3.4. And the other jQuery libraries are quite farther ahead than we are right now. You see that MVC libraries, so it's not only for JavaScript and CSS files, but also DLLs, and DLLs are listed under the references section. So all of these things that give it the actual functionality, all of those things can be updated using NuGet. So I'm going to focus on mainly the script files because sometimes when you update the DLLs, things just break, things stop working. You have compatibility issues and all sorts of things. So I'm just going to keep it simple and I'm just going to update anything that is JavaScript. So here I know that this is a JavaScript file. All right, WebGrease, it's made for optimizing. I'll use that also. I'll take Newton JSON, I'll take Modernizer. We'll take the jQuery validation and the jQuery. And please note, if you're going to upgrade any jQuery dot file, please update the jQuery base file. I've run into problems in the past with that, thinking that, oh, I don't need to update the jQuery, but the other things I can update. So those things can be updated. If I update Bootstrap, then it would update the CSS file and the script file associated with it. But once again, I will be moving from, and I will leave everything else as is. Of course, you can always roll back. So if you try to update these Microsoft dot dependencies or DLLs from version to version and something breaks, you can always just take note of what version worked and then you can just roll back. So you can uninstall, or you can say what is the version you want. You can just select it like that and then just click update and it will install that specific version for you. So I want the latest one for this one, so then just put that back. And then once you're finished, picking and choosing, and this same procedure applies to when you're browsing and trying to install, you just select the one you want and then you can just click install. This would be install as opposed to update. So I'm going to go ahead and update these. So it might prompt you during this process to say that, oh, it's about to make these updates, and are you sure you want to continue? And you just click OK. Then you accept any license agreements that come your way. All right, and we're done. So you would see that you got a few more red ticks because changes had to be made. And the NuGet engine is showing that we have fewer updates pending because everything else is already at the latest, so we can just close that window. What I want to point out to you also is that we've got, once again, red ticks here, and the packages.config file is actually like tracking all of the packages that are in our project. If we take a look in the scripts folder, we see that we have some new files. So when we get a new file, because of our source control engine tracking all the changes, we get this plus sign. So Git knows that this is a new file. It was never there. And then the red tick means that these were modified, right? So it got rid of the old files and brought in the new files. And we didn't do any updates to our script, to our CSS files, so there are no changes there. Of course, if I updated Bootstrap, then you would see plus signs there for the brand new files. All right. So once all of this is done, we can just go ahead and Control Shift and B to do a build. And the build was successful. I will also just go ahead and check in this code. So I'll just go and commit. So once again, because we have it on source control, now we're tracking every change that we make. So we can just say updated some script files and added new jQuery versions. So that should be descriptive enough, and then we can just commit all and sync. So once we do that, what it does is commit the changes locally, and then it just pushes them to GitHub automatically so that we don't have to get involved with a second step once we commit all and sync. And there we go, successfully synchronized. And once again, if we just take a look at GitHub and we just refresh, then we'll see we have a 5th commit. All right. And by clicking commits, we can see all of the changes, when they were made, and what they entail. All right. So that's where your comments come in handy. And then if you want that specific version, you can just click it and it will show you what was done. You can always just browse the files to get that specific version of files. So if anything breaks, then we can just roll back to before making those NuGet updates.